Old School RuneScape is a game about progression, but it's not a straight line. If you're a mid-game player looking for some stuff to unlock, this is some of the stuff you should be prioritizing, if you haven't already got it. Number 1 on this list can save you 20 mil. These upgrades solve a few different issues. Some save you lots of money, others save you inventory space, which means more food, more potions, longer trips when you're killing bosses. Others help you maximize your damage. More DPS without ever actually having to get better at the game is always nice. Then we've got the stuff that's a bit more niche. Quality of life upgrades that don't seem like a lot on their own, but when you've got all of them, your efficiency goes through the roof. This is all stuff you can't just buy on the GE, and that's exactly why a lot of people skip it. You might need to learn something new or maybe smash out a quest, but trust me, they're worth it. So if you want to progress efficiently, these are 15 upgrades you shouldn't be skipping. These are all going to be presented roughly in the order that you'll naturally unlock them as your account grows, not necessarily how impactful they are. So if you're early mid-game, start at the top and work down, and even if you consider yourself a late game player, there might be something you've missed. We're starting out with the single best value item in Old School RuneScape, the Fighter Torso. It's got a strength bonus tied with Bandos, Inquisitors, Blood Moon, and Oath Plate. The absolute cheapest of those is the Blood Moon chestplate, which is sitting around 4 mil right now. Not expensive, but at the early stage of the game, every bit of GP you can save really helps. Also consider that Blood Moon degrades. This means every single hit you take in this armor slowly drains your bank account. It ain't much in the scheme of things, but it does just feel bad. The next cheapest option is the Bandos chestplate at 20 mil. So why are these items so expensive if the torso is free and pretty much just as good? For low and mid-level PVM, the only stat that really matters is strength bonus. This stat contributes to your max hit, and up in this is usually what increases the overall damage per second that you do. But as you start tackling tougher bosses, accuracy and defensive stats start to matter more, and that's what you're actually paying for with stuff like Bandos, Oathplate, Torva, whatever. Until you're deep into real endgame content, and honestly, even when you are, go check out some of my other guides for proof, the Fighter Torso is more than enough. To get it, you play Barbarian Assault. 5-player team, 10 waves, 4 different roles. The fact that it only requires level 40 defense is a nice extra benefit. Good for pures, or just a great strength boost super early in a main account's progression. You'll need to get 375 points in every single roll, plus 1 Penance Queen kill to purchase the torso. Barbarian Assault is either the best content in the game or the worst content in the game, depending on who you speak to. You need a team that knows what they're doing if you want this quickly, and BA has a reputation for being confusing. It ain't too bad, it's just not explained very well. If you're looking for people to send it with, we've got a few guys in the Bootcamp Discord server who love this minigame, so come stop by. You can get a strength bonus equivalent to Bandos for a small price of an afternoon of teamwork. Sounds like a good choice to me. Bear with me, because we've got a couple of upgrades that you're probably going to roll your eyes at and tell me how obvious they are, but it's all about the bigger picture that we'll talk about in a second. First one is the absolute GOAT helmet item, the Nezi. The Helmet of Neitiznot comes from the Fremenic Isles. You get it for free as the quest reward. I won't bore you with the strength bonus explanation again, that is the primary reason it's good, but there are a few other things that really help make this item unskippable. Firstly, it's got a +3 prayer bonus. That makes your prayer drain slower, which is obviously useful for bossing, but it's honestly really nice when training your melee combat stats or Slayer 2. Second, and this is something most of you might not consider, it's got no negative magic or ranged attack penalties. Most melee helmets will nerf your ranged or magic accuracy. This one doesn't. So, at content where you're switching styles, this can just stay on your head. That's 1 less switch, 1 less inventory slot, and 1 less thing to fumble during any transitions. When you get good, you'll be smashing out 8-way switches for breakfast, but until you are, just camp the Nezi. Thirdly, it never degrades and it's dirt cheap. Use it as much as you like, take it into the wildy, no big deal. The combination of all of those benefits is why you see this helmet on accounts that have absolutely no business still wearing it. all of the better options are infinitely more expensive. When you're done with it, you still don't get to sell it. You can upgrade it to a face guard with the jaw from Basilisk Knights. It might not be the best melee helmet in the game anymore, but it's pretty damn close, and it's way cooler looking than any of the other options, which is what really matters. This item is crucial. I'm using the upgraded version even today. A load of you asked for this one in the comments last time. Here's that last piece of the bigger picture. Defenders from Bronze to Dragon. Defenders put real offensive stats in your shield slot. Your alternative is a shield that gives you no offense at all, so this is pure gain. There's no trade-off to weigh up unless you're at some really specific defense-focused content, which is few and far between. You'll want to speedrun the Dragon Defender as fast as possible. To get it, you need to get into the Warriors Guild, requiring a combined attack and strength level of 130 or just 99 in either one. The defenders are dropped by the Cyclops, Bronze to Rune upstairs, and Dragon in the basement. You need to earn tokens to enter the Cyclops' rooms. To get these tokens, you play minigames. Animated armor is the fastest way to get this done. You dump a set of metal armor on the animator, watch it come to life, and slap it back down. Higher level armor sets have higher stats. You get tokens depending on the level of armor that you killed. The average rate to get all the way to Dragon is 450 Cyclops from start to finish. Is the grind fun? Not really. You're locked in an attic or basement spanking the one-eyed monster, although I'm sure that's an average Saturday for most of you guys. But look at the payoff. This sits in your setup from the day you get it until the day you pull an Avernic Defender Hilt out of the Theatre of Blood. And the Avernic is made from your Dragon Defender, so you're doing this grind eventually either way. Do it now whilst it's an upgrade instead of later when it's the thing standing between you and your best in slot. You'll notice that the first 3 items on this guide have been firmly locked into melee gear progression. There is a reason. Switch on for this bit. Combine what we've covered, the Fighter Torso, the Nezi, and the Dragon Defender, with the Arcan Blade, Barrows Gloves, and Fire Cape that I talked about in my other video, and you've got 90% of a mid-game viable PVM setup. Add in a few dirt cheap upgrades, climbing boots, Amulet of Glory, whatever, and you're ready to start sending real content that's going to make you genuinely better at the game. I'm not talking about gear upgrades, I'm talking mechanically. You can get started with a genuinely absurd amount of content in this gear, so there's no excuse to not start sending bosses. Stop waiting until you've got bandos, you're already good to go. If you are geared up and don't know where to start, check out my bossing ladder. I'll tell you exactly which boss to send next and in what order, so you're not wasting time killing stuff that's way too easy, or the opposite, getting slapped back to Lumbridge attempting content you have no business trying. Back to the list, the next stuff is less focused on stats, but will change the game in so many other ways. My favourite thing about the magic skill is the way you have to fill up your entire inventory with runes to be able to do anything. Said nobody, ever. The Rune Pouch holds 3 types of runes in a single inventory slot. That is the whole item, and it'll improve your PVM performance just as much as a weapon or armor upgrade. Let's look at a specific example of where this really shines, so I can prove that I'm not bullshitting you. There is loads of damage that you just cannot avoid at Vorkarth. This means you'll need to bring in lots of food. You're going to want some teleport runes, ideally to your house to resupply, as well as Crumble Undead for one of the specific mechanics. That's a good chunk of your inventory on stuff you're not even using to damage the boss or increase your survivability. Whack out a Rune Pouch and you've condensed it all down into one slot, leaving you more space in your pockets to cram full of sharks. You can get it from any Slayer Master for 750 Slayer reward points. If you're doing tasks with a decent master, that's not a huge ask, and you should be doing Slayer anyway, because a crazy amount of quality content in this game is unfortunately gate-kept behind it. If you're into PvP, Last Man Standing is an option. It costs 75 reward points. If you genuinely hate yourself and want to torture yourself with the worst content in the game, you can go to the Mage Training Arena instead. You'll need to grab a bunch of points from each of the rooms. I'm not going to pretend that this is the fun route, but if you're already there doing your achievement diaries, you may as well walk out with 2 rewards instead of 1. You're probably going to turn around at this point and tell me that you can buy this on the GE. Rune Pouch notes are a thing. You're right, they are, but you can't buy the upgraded version with GP. The Thread of Elidness from Tombs of a Massacre upgrades it to the Divine Rune Pouch and allows you to store 4 runes in the pouch instead of 3. It's a 1 in 10 drop, but scales more common as you complete more raids. You do need 75 crafting to make the upgrade, so do keep that in mind. Skilling is cringe, but sometimes it's gotta be done. With all of the different combination runes, tomes, and staves that you can get, you can open up a crazy amount of spells with just 1 inventory slot. The most useful example when you get towards the endgame is getting the runes for both Thralls and Death Charge, something that we'll cover a bit later in the video. If you're anything like me, you have completely chinned off your ring slot. Nobody can see it anyway, and it's all about flexing the gear at the GE, not how well it actually performs in context, right? Wrong. Your Fremennik rings, Berserker, Archer, and Seers come from the Dagonath Kings. They're fine as they are, but imbued, they are twice as good. Every stat on the ring doubled. If you are really shit at maths, that means it's as good as if you could wear 2 of the rings at the same time. A Berserker ring imbued gives you double the strength bonus, and we always want strength bonus. The imbued Seers doubles the magic bonus and throws in an extra 0.3 magic damage that the base ring doesn't have at all. Not that much to look at, but every percentage point still counts. An Archer's imbued doubles the ranged accuracy bonus with no range strength. It's kind of mid actually, but hey, unless you have a light bearer or a utility ring for teleports, what else are you going to be wearing? An extra one, not from DKs, is the Ring of Suffering imbued. It's got double the bonuses on an already chunky defensive ring, and you can load it with Rings of Recoil, which is super convenient at a few places. This one is a Zenyte item, so it's priced in the other 3 rings. Treat it as a goal for a little bit later in your journey. It is absolutely crucial for some content though, dealing with the snakelings at Zul'Ra being a great example. They're an absolute ball ache if you try and kill them manually or with the individual Rings of Recoil. We've talked about the rings and what they do, but not how you actually imbue them. You have 3 routes. Nightmare Zone is probably the route I would take. It's the slowest, but it's also AFK and gives you a load of combat experience. Soul Wars is a choice. I don't know why you'd consider this unless you're boosting or have a very specific flavor of autism. If there's a genuine reason to pick this one, let me know in the comments. And finally, Emir's Arena, the fastest by far, but you're reliant on finding players that are also trying to spam out imbues. Whichever way you go, the math is the same. Double stats are twice as good. Crazy, right? There's loads of other stuff you can imbue, and I tackled some of that on the other video. If you're finding this useful so far, hitting that like button genuinely helps me get this stuff in front of the people who need it. I've got content just like this, more general tips and tricks, full boss guides, and everything else that you need to get endgame PVM ready on my channel. So drop me a sub too if that's something you want to see more of. I appreciate it. The next few items are all related to prayer. It's one of the most important skills to have leveled high, and these either help you get there or help you maximize the value you get out of every single prayer level. The Bonecrusher is a hard Mauritania diary reward, which you can collect from Le Sabre just outside Canifis. You'll need to charge it with Ecto tokens, and from then on, every bone dropped by anything you kill gets crushed automatically for half the XP you'd have gotten for burying it. Finish the Elite Mauritania Diary and you get the full amount. This, on its own, isn't worth using at most places. Grinding the Ecto Funtus for Ecto tokens is a diabolical grind, but here's the thing that makes it worthwhile. You can combine the Bonecrusher with the Dragon Bone Necklace from Vorkarth and a Hydra Tail from Hydra to create the Bonecrusher Necklace. It requires 70 prayer to wear. This combines the effects of both items. In case you didn't know, the Dragon Bone Necklace restores your prayer every time you bury a bone. Hopefully you can see why automatic burial and prayer restore on burial is absolutely broken. It makes the fastest magic and ranged XP in the game basically AFK, bursting and chinning maniacal monkeys. If you're bursting or barraging anything that drops bones, you can use your protection prayers essentially forever. It's also got the best in slot prayer bonus if that's something you're trying to maximize for any reason, from easy protection prayer heavy bosses like the giant mole to extending skill boosts with the preserve prayer. This necklace goes hard. But what if an enemy doesn't drop bones? You can use the Ash Sanctifier. Honestly, most people don't even know this exists, and it's got one big advantage over the Bonecrusher. The charging method is way less miserable. Claim it from Tis after completing the hard Korend and Kebos diary near the Dark Altar. Charge it with death runes, 10 charges per rune, and it works just like the Bonecrusher, but it gets rid of ashes instead of bones. Think about how often you're killing a demon in this game. Abyssal demons, black demons, greater demons, tormented demons, a big slice of the Slayer task list. You're already going to be killing these things, and right now, you're walking away from all of that XP. Pair it with the Bonecrusher and the picture's complete. Prayer is a very fast skill to train actively, but it's also very expensive. Using a Bonecrusher or a Sanctifier gives you an option that lets you train passively on the way to 99 for other skills. The next item comes from the same grind. Rada's Blessing is also a Korend and Kebos reward. Rada's Blessing goes in your ammunition slot and comes in 4 tiers, corresponding to the level of diary that you've completed. The mid-game target is Rada's Blessing 3 from the hard diary. It's got a +1 prayer bonus, same as the God Blessings, except it's totally free, and Elysian Korend Castle Courtyard replaces it for free forever if you lose it. It's great to have. It's a nice clue scroll RNG skip for the Iron Men and reduces death costs a little bit for mains. The real upgrade is when you've got requirements. The top tier version, Rada's Blessing 4 from the Elite Diary, gives you a +2 prayer bonus for the best in slot bonus in the ammo slot. It ain't much, but at the endgame level, every little boost helps. It's got some teleport utility too, which is pretty nice. Now we've got all of those little prayer quality of life upgrades out the way, the next section is a great place to use all of those extra prayer points. I know this guide is supposed to be talking about items, but I'm going to spend half of this section talking about spells. The Book of the Dead, a magic shield slot item from A Kingdom Divided, is a requirement for using Thralls. I did talk about these briefly in my other video as part of a broader spellbook section, but I think I need to go into them in a bit more detail so you'll realize how useful they are. Thralls are both extremely underrated by noobs and extremely overrated by top tier players. You can PVM without this stuff, but unlocking them and learning to use them is going to massively increase your DPS in a big way. The great thing about the book is that you don't have to wear it to make the most of it. So if you've got a better magic shield, you can just keep it in your inventory. Thralls are little undead minions you summon who fight for you. They come in 3 delicious flavors. Use the version that's strongest against the boss you're fighting. If you're unsure, pop the Ghostly Thrall. The Ghostly Thrall attacks with magic, the Skeletal Thrall attacks with ranged, and the Zombie Thrall attacks with melee. They all come in 3 tiers. Lesser requiring level 38 magic, it's got a max hit of 1. Superior at level 57 magic has a max hit of 2. And the Greater needs 76 magic and can hit up to 3. That doesn't sound crazy, but over a long enough period, increased kill times add up. They also add that nice bit of consistency. How many times have you ended up dying on a boss with a super low HP? Chances are, if you'd summoned a Thrall, you would have finished the fight. Each cast costs you runes and between 2 and 6 prayer points, and the Thrall sticks around for a number of seconds equal to your magic level. If you ever finish the Master Combat achievements, that duration doubles. Because it's such a good DPS increase, Thrall uptime is a strong marker for someone who knows what they're doing. Unlock this, keep those Thralls up, and never forget your Book of the Dead in a raid if you want to be taken seriously. Death Charge is another spell on the Arceus spellbook, also unlocked through A Kingdom Divided. It needs 80 magic. Cast it, and if you land the killing blow on anything within the next 60 seconds, you get 15% of your special attack energy back. This is another thing that just ups the consistency at so many boss encounters. Special attacks are pretty overpowered, and using them properly is an absolute game changer. This spell really helps you utilize them to their full capacity. If you need to open with a defense reducing spec, this is likely to get you there. If you're prioritizing DPS specs, obviously the more energy the better. This guide is supposed to be about items, so here it is, the Rite of Vile Transference. It's a one-time use scroll style item that unlocks double death charge. If you go and kill Yama, the dossiers that he drops can contain one. It's guaranteed from your next dossier once you're at 100 Yama kills, so don't worry about going dry. Read it and death charge permanently restores spec from 2 targets per cast instead of 1. This might feel like a long way off for most people watching, but the base spell just needs 80 magic and a quest, so that's a good one to shoot for if you've not already done it. The Ancient Staff is one of the most iconic magic weapons in the game, but his big brother, the Ancient Sceptre, is where it gets some real utility. The Ancient Sceptre needs 70 magic, 60 strength and 50 attack, and completion of Secrets of the North. You make it by bringing an Ancient Staff and Ancient Icon to Eblis. The staff half is easy. You grab one from Eblis in the desert or get one straight off the GE. Come back to him once you've got the Ancient Icon that comes from the Phantom Muspa and you're ready to make the first stage of the upgrade. Muspa is a genuinely good mid-game boss and a solid moneymaker in its own right, so this isn't a grind you're doing purely for this item. Firstly, a 10% magic damage boost, which is pretty decent for a staff that autocasts Ancients that you can hold at level 70 magic and get for basically free. Secondly, it gives a 10% buff to the effects of ancient spells, freezes last longer, blood spells heal more, and the other 2 spell types are pretty crap, so don't worry about those. The real reason it's good is the spell-specific upgrades. You combine the Sceptre with a Quartz. Each one dropped by a different DT2 boss, and each Quartz gives you a passive boost to its corresponding style. Those bump up the requirement to level 75 magic and specialize the Sceptre harder into that one element. Although, unlike the initial creation of the Sceptre, attaching a Quartz is reversible, so you can mix and match between styles whenever you like. The Ice Quartz in particular is super useful. It's a great budget freeze weapon for learning the Theatre of Blood, and the Blood Quartz is a nice one for barraging. Basically, infinite health is very nice. We said we were going to go through this list in progression order. This item is a bit of an outlier, because it's definitely going to be the last thing you get and fully max out, but it also might even be the first. Ghommal's Hilt. You progress Ghommal's Hilt from level 1 through to level 6 through combat achievement points, and you can claim any version that you've got from Ghommal at the Warriors Guild entrance. Tier 1 is easy enough that you might already have it without even noticing. Each version offers you compounding quality of life stuff to make your bossing grinds easier. Some of these things require the hilt in your inventory, but others just require you to have the combat achievement tier ticked off. Here are some of the highlights at each tier. Hilt 1 gives you 3 daily teleports to the God Wars dungeon entrance. Try doing GWD without this and you'll see instantly why it's handy. Hilt 2 stops the Barrow's prayer drain whilst it's equipped. This is a huge convenience and massive cost saver at an essential grind for Iron Men, but it's also a nice early game GP source for mains. Hilt 3 takes you to 5 God Wars teleports per day and unlocks private instances for God Wars bosses. No more getting crashed. Hilt 4 gives you some teleports to Mortal Wreck, the Tazar area, and you get double the Warriors Guild tokens. You really should have a Dragon Defender by now, so this isn't game changing, but it's useful if you ever lose it. Hilt 5 attaches to your Avernic Defender, so you get all of those teleports, the Fashionscape Flex, and the actual stats of a defender in one slot. Hilt 6 has nothing you actually require it in your inventory for, but there are other benefits. Maybe I've stretched the truth here a bit. The hilt isn't the real reward. What you're actually unlocking by chasing combat achievements points isn't just an item, it's a bunch of permanent changes to your account. The Imbued Rings we talked about earlier, getting the hard CAs done halves how much they cost from Nightmare Zone. Remember Thralls, Master tier doubles their duration. The easy, medium and hard combat achievement tiers give you an extra pest control point, something that really helps the Elite Void grind that I talked about in my other video. There's loads of other stuff. increased loadable cannonballs, slayer buffs, other cosmetics. It would be a whole video on its own to cover everything. This video is an item checklist, sure, but really it's another way to gauge your progression through PvM. The Ancient Sceptre requires Phantom Muspa and the DT2 bosses. Double Death Charge needs Yama. The upgraded Rune Pouch needs TOA. Ghommal's Hilt is the pinnacle of that. Forever unlock rewards simply for learning how to play the game. So go and open that Combat Achievements tab, pick a boss you like the look of, try something new, and tick off some tasks. It's a long grind, one I'm on myself right now. Check me out on Twitch, by the way, but it is worth it. So that's 15 unlocks to make everything else in the game easier. This ain't the flashy stuff that's going to turn heads when you're bank standing at TOA, and it isn't going to make up for sloppy mechanics. You still need to get good. But if you can make little upgrades that streamline your progress, you are more likely to reach the top. If you're thinking I've missed something important on this list, check out my other video. Chances are it's on there. And if I still haven't mentioned it, let me know in the comments. I'll make sure it's on the next one. If any of these grinds are giving you trouble, especially Barbarian Assault, come and say hello in the Bootcamp Discord, linked in the description. That's exactly what it's there for. Someone in there has done the thing you're stuck on, and we are always happy to help. Big shout out to my current channel members and Twitch subscribers. You lot are the reason I get to keep doing this. That's it for me. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next time.